I've applied to 1,084,209 jobs over the summer, and this is how it went.
Wait a second. 1,084,000. Come on. Come on. Companies across the United States have announced over 1.1 million job cuts so far just this year alone. For example, their October of 2025 job report notes that 153,074 jobs have been cut last month alone. That's October of 2025. That's the highest monthly total in more than 20 years. Let's go ahead and react to some of these videos.
I applied to an analyst job. I didn't fulfill two of their preferences. I'm a smart guy, I can figure those two things out. Then I got a phone screening. I was happy because I don't even get those. I was even telling my friends that I had a good feeling about this, you know? I'm not a positive person, but I was finally trying to be positive about something because I thought I had a freaking chance. The day of the phone screening comes. It's set for noon. 12:07, I get an email. Looking at your resume, it doesn't seem like you are qualified for this job, so I'm canceling your interview. Good luck with the rest of your job search. You looked at my resume the time you scheduled the interview? It would have been bad if she canceled 5 minutes before. She canceled it 7 minutes after. She wasted my time. After reading that email, I literally just stood up, walked away from my room, got on the floor, and cried. 350 jobs, lots of rejections. Nothing hit me as much as this. It's been like 2 weeks since this happened, and I think I'm still suffering from the effects. I feel terrible. I can't even enjoy my hobbies anymore because this affected me that deeply. And all I've imagined is this HR lady doesn't even know what she did. She's just happily frolicking away in her office, employed, not knowing she crushed my soul.
You knew you weren't qualified for the position to begin with. You're acting as if your time was wasted when the reality is it sounds like you probably wasted her time. The fact that she showed up 7 minutes late, that could be an indication that she's busy, that she has a lot of applicants to go through. The fact that she didn't go through your resume prior to getting you onto this phone interview doesn't necessarily indicate that you weren't a great candidate for the position, but just means that she's got a big stack of applicants, a lot of resumes to review, and she probably does it just before each interview, only to realize that her time had been wasted and sent out a notification to you to not just preserve your time by not going forward with a phone interview, knowing that you weren't the right candidate, but also to preserve her own time, seeing that you weren't the right candidate. You explicitly said, these are two qualifications that I don't have in order to be the right fit for this job. You have to make sure that you're applying for things that people are going to want from you. You have to bring value to the table. And perhaps you have skills that would have done that. But your frantic reaction to this experience, to me, somewhat indicates that this employer potentially dodged a bullet by not hiring you. You have this sort of emotional, reactionary demeanor that in the event of any high stress environments, any potential challenges on the job, your reaction may be part of the problem here. You admitted that you're not a positive person to begin with. And that to me might be showing through, whether it be through your cover letter, through your resume, and most definitely would in an interview process. So I think that this is going to require a little more self-reflection than what you're presenting here on this video. Right now, the job market is not going to be tolerant of people who are demonstrating weaknesses like this. As an employer myself, I'm going to be looking for those best candidates, the ones that are the strongest, the ones that can handle things in a calm, rational manner. And if the job description itself is indicating that two qualifications that you're saying you didn't have are necessary, you probably weren't the right applicant for that job to begin with. So personally, I think this individual needs to take a more internal look at how they can strengthen themselves as a candidate for the specific positions that they're choosing to apply for. Just looking at his appearance, if he had jumped on that Zoom interview, frankly, I don't think you present that well. I think you're your presentation overall is a little jarring. Look, you look fine, right? But depending on the position, this may matter to an employer. If you're a customer-facing representative, if you're the face of the business, this is going to be something you're going to want to make sure you're considering as you're contemplating, phone-based interviews / video interviews / in-person interviews. Showing up and really presenting yourself in the best light compatible with the profession or the position that you're applying for is critical.
I've applied to 1,084,209 jobs over the summer, and this is how it went.
Wait a second. 1,084,000. Come on. This has to be AI. This has to be AI applications that are being submitted. This cannot be hand-selected, customized applications with customized cover letters that are including the personal touch from your mouth versus AI. That would be mathematically impossible. So I'm already skeptical of this one.
So I got ghosted by 784,555, which is not too bad, and rejected by 298,343. But I did get 2,222 first round interviews, which is like crazy.
That is crazy. 2,222 interviews. That's quite remarkable. Whatever perhaps artificial application process he's going through apparently has some success to it. Let's hear the rest of his testimonial here.
Shout out to Sprout. And I also managed to get 467 second round interviews. There were a lot of third and fourth round interviews, but I ended up with 6 final round interviews.
6 final round interviews out of 1 million applications. That goes to show you right there that approach simply does not have the conversion rate that you would want. It doesn't work. I could get 6 interviews, final round interviews, by just going out, being specific, tapping into my network, cleaning up my online profile. A lot of this stuff is not going to help you in the interview process. Any employer that takes those next steps to really vet their candidates, going online and Google searching your name, finding your social media accounts, a lot of this is not going to look real appealing to future interviewers. So you've got to be very intentional about moving forward. This is a lot like dating. You can't go out and just swipe on a million different profiles and cross your fingers and hope that the right one is going to turn up. You might have a lot of them turn up and they're just simply not going to be the fit that you're hoping for. It just stinks of desperation.
In the end, I received 3 job offers, accepted 1 and declined 2. A lot of people have been asking me where I've been applying, and I've been applying on Sprout, where all you have to do is literally swipe right and it'll automatically apply for you with a written cover letter and a resume. This has definitely made job hunting so much easier.
He gave some tips there that may or may not work for you. I think learning from everybody else's experiences is really helpful. I do think being ready to pivot in this market is clutch, right? Clutch. It's clutch. You've got to be ready to pivot. In a difficult market, sometimes you've got to take a role that maybe isn't perfect for you, but at least it keeps you active and it keeps you visible and it keeps you earning money. You have to have revenue coming in, even if it's not adequate to what your financial needs are, but at least it helps minimize the deficit so that you don't continue to lean towards debt and continue to dig yourself a bigger hole that you're unable to get out of later. So making sure that you're considering industries that they're still hiring right now, but maybe they're just a little less volatile. Healthcare is obviously one that's good for that. Essential services, the trades industry, businesses like mine. I own a sewer company that is vital, and AI can't replace what we do. Sure, there may be competitors that incorporate AI into their customer service portion or dispatching portion of the business that could end up allowing them to pull further ahead of us down the road if we're unable to stay advanced with our research on the new and better types of CRM services or AI services that are out there. However, I've got to have techs in the field. And the trade world right now can be a great place to get your foot in the door. Everybody that works on my team had no previous experience prior to, and everything was trained to them and for them as they got on. Everybody started at $25 per hour. No, that is not what I would consider livable wage at this point. However, without any previous experience, they were able to work their way up and have generated rapid raises along the way. At this point, 35 an hour is really the minimum that anybody is going to earn after having about a year's worth of training with us, and they have a skill that they could take with them anywhere they choose. They can take that to other businesses. They could start their own company if they wanted to. But getting into some more specialized fields is a way that you could, I think, keep yourself more, I would say, nimble in this volatile market right now. I do think it does make sense to track your metrics. I liked that last video where, he's sharing every single data point along the way. So he was able to really track results. So keeping a log of your job interviews and how each of them are going, what are the responses, how are the networking contacts proving to work out for you, the revenue from side work, what are you generating, making sure you're monitoring your budget on a regular basis is key. And then just measure what's working for you and then continue to lean further and further into those positive results can create more efficiency for you moving forward. But definitely setting weekly goals. You've probably heard the saying, if you don't have a job, finding a job becomes your full-time job. You have to be spending no less than 40 hours per week. If you don't have income, that can turn into a serious, serious problem for you in every area of your life. In very short order, depending on how much financial buffer you've allowed for yourself, that emergency reserve, and being able to live without income. Everybody is obviously going to have a different level of safety net, but it can spiral quickly, and people can go months and months without actually finding a viable position and one that sustains their living expenses. So making sure that you're setting those weekly goals for yourself is critical during that time, and taking it as seriously as possible. It is a red alert. It is an emergency. So make sure you do that.
Stop doing this thing where you're just applying to 300 to 400 jobs a month if you're unemployed and at your home. It's not the most effective way to get a job. When people apply to roles, if I have roles posted, I think as of today, my company has 71 open roles posted. As a large company that's growing very fast, a lot of those roles are evergreen, like we always need salesmen and commission people in these different areas. Out of those 71 roles, per role per week, okay? So we post one job, we're going to get between 60 and 110 applicants per role per week. Think of how crazy that is to try to sort through. And we have 2 recruiters and hiring managers on our payroll. Think of how crazy that is to try to sort through that and find the right candidates for jobs.
So going back to that first video we saw where the gentleman was upset about a 7-minute delay on that interview starting, I'm a very punctual person. That would frustrate me too, but being a little more understanding of what it's like being on the employer side of this, 110 applicants per week. We're talking over 450 applications for one role per month. You just simply don't have the time to sit and comb through each and every specific detail well in advance of each interview and be hyper prepared for that specific interview, perhaps enough so in advance to where you realize somebody is or isn't qualified before that time slot comes up. So once that gal realized that it wasn't a fit, she sent him over that email. You can see from the employer's perspective with this gentleman's video why that might be the case. It's so true. And I think this goes back to just putting yourself in the position to be a standout, being somebody that really tailors your resume and your cover letter so that you're never sending this sort of generic resume, making sure you're reading the job description thoroughly ahead of time and picking 3 to 5 key words during that so that you're able to mirror them naturally, not through AI, within your resume, within your cover letter is extremely important. Using bullet points that are going to lead with action verbs and results. You have to make yourself somebody that not only is the most qualified candidate for the role you're applying for, so that you can beat out everybody else and at least end up on the phone and getting those face-to-face interviews. Even if it's virtually over the computer, you still want to be able to communicate with somebody directly so that they can get a sense of your personality. Making sure that once you have the position, you turn yourself into a very value-focused, indispensable type of employee. You want to be able to provide for them something that they simply can't afford to get rid of. I could not afford to get rid of any of my team members right now. I couldn't, because they are that valuable to the team. And the moment they become less valuable than what they're being paid, that's when conversations are going to start happening and a potential replacement is going to be considered. So being the standout before and during the position is what you need to be focusing on. And that means being as prepared as you can be. That means looking the part, like we talked about. That means actually going in and having a well thought out, designed collection of talking points that you can show up to that conversation with, so that when they get off the phone, you're the one that continues to come to mind. There's a star next to your name in their notepad. You want to be the person that ends up on that final list as a consideration, because this is not going to be an easy time for anybody. And I have very dear friends of mine right now that are continuing to look for revenue, because their revenue was suddenly lost through these 1.1 million job losses this year. So making sure that you're really careful to spend the time to be the star that you believe the company should look at you as is going to take some extra effort on your part, and it cannot come with just this sort of generic shotgun approach that we heard in the million plus application video. I think this was an interesting topic. We're going to continue to do more of these. If you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you hit that button, turn on your bell notifications, hit the like button if you don't mind. It really helps these videos to get out. I think there's a lot that we can learn from other people's experiences. And sometimes we're going to get some great advice from people who are doing really, really well, and we can showcase that as well. So we see what isn't working, we can evaluate what does work, and we can do that here together. Drop your comments below. Have you guys had any issues with the job market yourselves? Have you felt any threat to your current positions? If you are underemployed or unemployed, what has that job search looked like for you? Have you submitted applications, and what have been the responses? Have you sensed things changing? Do you know other people around you that are struggling with this right now? It is a weird time in our world. So I want to make sure that we continue to shine a light on that together, and we evaluate so that hopefully it'll help somebody along the way. Looking forward to the next video. Until then, make it a great day today and keep on cash flowing.